Magandang araw ulit sa inyong lahat. Welcome back to my accounting tutorial intended for the accounting and business management students or the ABM students of the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum Program of DepEd. And now we will be talking about the adjusted trial balance. Okay, so let's start. So, preparing an adjusted trial balance is one of the accounting processes that we do in the accounting cycle, and this is under the step number 7 in the accounting cycle. Okay, so ano ba tong adjusted trial balance? When we say adjusted trial balance, ibig sabihin lahat ng mga transactions for a particular period or accounting period has already been incorporated or na-take up na. So, bago siya maging adjusted, una muna, unadjusted siya. Ibig sabihin, perhaps meron kang mga meron ka ng values no na nakuha doon sa ledger mo, kaya lang meron pang mga transactions left no for that particular year that you have to take up no para mas makatotohanan at fair yung ipipresent mo na mga financial statements. Alright, so let's have an example of an adjusted trial balance. So this is an example of unadjusted trial balance for the King PH company. So as you can see, so let us assume that all of these accounts no are taken up from the ledger of the King PH company. And as you can notice, we have here a prepaid insurance worth 25,000. So we still do not know the history of that. Later on, we would know paano ba natin i-adjust yan, kasi supposedly, if this is adjusted, dapat, if this is end of the year, ang tanong dyan, kailan mo binili to at good for how many years at ilan na yung nagastos mo. Wala ka pang nakikita na insurance expense in this part. So, ibig sabihin, this is still unadjusted. So, later on, let's check if there are adjustments for this particular account title, the prepaid insurance. So, let's go back. So, when we say unadjusted trial balance, okay, this is being generated from the whatever has been computed from our ledger. But, however, it does not contain all the correct information, as adjusting entries which are generally made at the end of the year have not been incorporated just yet. So, what we do is we take up those adjustments, and then we journalize these adjusting entries or entry items like the prepayments, the accruals, and the deferrals. If you have some questions about the prepayments, the accruals, and deferrals, we have already taken this up no in our past lessons, so please just refer to our past lessons about this. We have already done actually doing adjustments doon sa ating previous lesson about the service business accounting cycle. So I am assuming that all of you are already familiar with the adjusting entries, but don't worry, we have examples to be process no later on para mas at least meron tayong refresher no na maalala nyo kung paano natin ito ginagawa. So these adjustments are then inputted into the worksheet to introduce the changes and ultimately arrive at the adjusted trial balance, which has updated account values as per the year-end amounts. So para mas maintindihan nyo, let's have an example. So again, I am showing you the unadjusted trial balance. Unadjusted, wala pa yung mga adjustments natin. We're still not done with the adjusting entries. So, I am now introducing to you our adjustments or things to be adjusted. Okay, so we have 4 entries or we have 4 transactions to be adjusted. Please take note that all adjusting entries are also being inputted no, to our journal. Okay? So, let's take the first adjustment. It says that there are accrued and unpaid salaries of employees amounted to 15,000. Simply telling us that for that particular period, meron tayong kailangan pang pasahurin ng mga empleyado, but hindi natin pa mapapasahod kasi perhaps ang kanilang salary ay matatanggap pa nila sa susunod na buwan or sa susunod na week, no, na sakop na ng ibang taon kasi yung ating trial balance ay only good for December 31, 2015. So perhaps ang sahod nila papatak na ng kunwari January 5 na, no. So but still, sabi nga natin, we have to recognize these salaries, no, and we have to already integrate that doon sa ating accounting period dahil ni-render nila yan for that particular period. So, by recognizing that, we have to make an entry. 15,000, ito ba ay nabayaran na or babayaran pa lang? So, ang sagot, babayaran pa lang natin ito. So, kung babayaran pa lang natin ito, it is automatic payable, no? Payable natin ito. So, ang best account title natin dyan is salary payable, and alam natin that payables are always credited. So, salaries payable, that's 15,000, but we have to think of the debit partner or the debit account na kung saan natin siya ipapasok. So, since this is or to be taken up, no, for this year, automatic i-recognize natin siya as an expense. So, the account title should be salary expense, 15,000. And, again, our credit account or credit part is salary payable, 15,000. So, again, debit salary expense, 15,000. So, it is already an expense for that particular period. But, since hindi pa siya bayad, it is considered as salary payable. It is payable. Okay, salary payable, 15,000. Just to show you the column for unadjusted trial balance, and then I am now showing you the adjustments, and then after that, we do the adjusted. Okay, para lang nakikita nyo yung comparison at yung mangyayari na transformation ng ating trial balance. Okay, so since we do not have the salary payable account, what we do is we insert. So this is one of the adjustments. Okay, magdadagdag tayo ng salary payable. Okay, and that is credited, so 15,000. Alright. So, we're done with the first adjustment. Now, let's move to the next. So, our next adjustment will be cash deposited on bank generated an interest worth 600 pesos. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong pera sa bangko and it has already generated an interest. Interest is a profit. It is an income. Kumbaga, tumubo siya. And magkano yung tinubo niya? 600. So, what we do is, we recognize that as an income. It is an additional income. But still, syempre, siguro hindi pa natin nare-receive yan. So, it will be, the entry would be interest receivable, 600, and interest income, 600. Alright, so let's check on our trial balance, the adjustment, interest receivable. Is there an existing, okay, so there's no existing account, and let us put it under the accounts receivable since pare silang receivable. So, interest receivable. Right, and that is a debit of 600. And is there any interest? Okay, next is credit interest incomes, 600. 600. Okay, so under the income, okay, dito sa sales natin, wala tayong interest income. So let us adjust. Let's put the account title interest income. Okay, and that's 600. So there. Okay? So pantay na, 15.6, 15.6. Now let's move to the next entry. Okay, so now let's move to the third adjusting entry. We have an unearned sales of 7,000. Okay? Unearned sales of 7,000, but this time around we have already earned it. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Last time, diba, we have already discussed about the unearned revenues. So, these are technically mga pera to na natanggap natin pero hindi pa natin na ibibigay yung ating serbisyo or hindi pa natin na ibibigay yung goods. Kaya, para siyang utang. No? Para tayong may utang. Kaya, we consider unearned revenues, unearned sales as mga utang natin. Kaya, it is credited. These are liabilities. But this time around, since marahil nakapagbigay na tayo ng items doon sa customer natin, so the unearned sales of 7,000 should now be recognized as sales. Okay? It is no longer unearned sales, but it is already considered as sales. So, I actually made an illustration of that here in our Excel. So, let us assume that dun sa ating ledger, okay, tignan natin. Unearned revenue, okay, we have an unearned revenue of 10,000. Okay, so, kunwari, okay, so this is 10,000. Okay, and we have to adjust this. Kung yung unearned revenue ay sabi 7,000 of that has already been considered as sales. Okay, so we have sales. Okay, so what we do is we recognize the 7,000. Babawasan natin. So, if this is credited, para mabawasan natin yan, we have to put debit in here. Kaya, ang matitira na lang ay dapat 3,000. Alright? And, for the sales, okay, so, ang debit natin ay 7,000. Ang credit natin dito ay 7,000. So, madadagdagan na yung ating sales by 7,000. So, if we are going to make an entry for that one, so that is debit unearned revenue of 7,000, right, and a credit in sales of 7,000. So ganyan siya, ganyan ang lalabas. So, kalalabasan dun sa ating ledger, dapat may lalabas sa 207, and sa ating unearned revenue ay dapat matira na lang ay 3,000. So, let us adjust that doon sa ating trial balance. Dito yan. Unadjusted. Okay, dito tayo. Okay, so sa ating unearned, we have 10,000. Maglalagay tayo ng 7,000 in here. Okay, and unearned revenue, and then sa sales natin, we have to put 7,000. Okay. 7,000. Alright, so we have a debit account sa unearned revenue and a credit amount of 7,000 sa sales naman. So, pantay siya, 22,600, 22,600. So, this is good. Alright, so let's move to the next entry. Okay, yun siya. The last adjusting entry is the prepaid insurance figure Okay, dito na tayo sa prepaid insurance. Okay, the figure represents the cash payment for the 5-year insurance premium contract. So, this was purchased at the beginning of the year. Ibig sabihin, bumili tayo ng ating insurance worth 25, okay, let's check, no? Ito siya, worth 25,000 kanina, no? Sabi nga natin. And, dito, finally, nalaman natin that yung 25,000 pala na yun is good for 5 years. So, if we are going to divide that, magkano tayo per year? So, ang ating insurance per year is 5,000. And binili natin to, since binili natin to nung beginning of the year, so obviously, na-consume natin yung buong 5,000 na yon. Okay, so, balikan natin. So, 25,000 at the end of the year, na-consume na natin yung 5,000. So, dapat 20,000 na lang yan. Kailangan nating ma-adjust yan into 20,000. And, para ma-adjust natin yan, dapat na yung dating prepaid insurance, ma-transfer natin into expense. So, dapat magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na insurance expense. Okay, so let's go to our illustration or check natin. So, dito sa ledger natin, we have, as you can see, we have an existing of 25,000. Okay? Now, kinakailangan mabawasan na natin yan ng 5,000. So, para mabawasan natin, magki-credit tayo ng 5,000 in here. So, there, finally, we got 20,000. So, we have already credited an amount of 5,000 sa prepaid insurance. So, ano ngayon ang ating debit partner ng ating prepaid insurance na 5,000? Okay, the debit should be under the insurance expense. So, let's put the 5,000 in here. Alright, so let's now so if we are going to make an entry of that, it will be or debit insurance expense of 5,000, and then what? Prepaid insurance 5,000. Alright, so let's adjust that dun sa ating worksheet. Okay, prepaid insurance, we have a credit of 5,000, and then interest or insurance expense. Insert. Insurance expense. So that is debit 5,000 insurance expense. Okay, so let us up to 20. There. Okay, so since it has already been taken up under the adjustment, now let's move to the last adjustments. Yun na pala yung last. Alright, so we're done with our 4 adjusting entries. Since we're done with that, edi puntahan na natin yung adjusted part. Okay, now, so let's go to adjusting everything. So, since we're done with our adjustments, we are now going to do the adjusted part. Alright, so cash debit 90,000. There are no other adjustments on that. So, let's just retain that. Accounts receivable 45,000. So it remains the same. Interest receivable, 600 pesos. Alright, so let's move to inventory. No adjustment, 95,000. Alright, prepaid insurance, there is an adjustment in here. So we used to have 25,000 less the 5,000. So what's left is, okay, so yan, bawasan natin. Para mas precise, gawa na natin ng formula. For the property, plant, and equipment, we have 100,000. It remains the same. Alright. For accounts payable, there is a credited 35,000. Remains the same. This is an adjustment. Salary payable is 15,000. Alright. And for the unearned revenue, so there is an adjustment on this part. It used to be 10,000. But since we have debited 7,000, so now it's already 3,000. So we deduct. Ito tayo sa kabila. So this is a credit side. Okay, 10,000 less the 7,000 that is debited. So we have 3,000 left. Credited amount for the unearned revenue. For the notes payable, it remains the same. That should be under the credit column, 15 or 50,000, and then the capital remains the same to 215,000. Sales, so there is an increase in sales of 7,000, so that should be 200,000 plus 7,000, so that's 207. And then we have interest income credited. Alright, so 600. Now let's move to the cost of goods sold. It remains the same, 70,000. Interest expense, 6,500. That is debited, 6,500. Rent expense, 13,500. Salary expense, so this is an increase in expense. So this is another adjustment. So that should be 80,000 this time. And for the insurance expense, we have debited amount of 5,000. So let's check if it's balanced. 525,600. And okay, for the credit side, we also have 525,600. So it's balanced. It's already adjusted, and it's good to go for the financial statement. Okay, so that would be all. Thank you for listening to this lecture tutorial.